I'm Xander from Team Uncharted 25461Z. I'm the solo member of this team and I'm a sophomore. I'd like to take you on a journey to show you the evolution of my robots throughout the season. This was the linear that was part of my first spot at the beginning of the season. Here are a couple photos of it being fully assembled. The system ran a chain bar on top of the linear, which allowed for 10 cones. The problem was I wasn't sure how to build a mobile goal or how to get my drivetrain working because I couldn't get past the starting bar. I'd get caught on it. My autons needed time to perfect. So it was a good first spot, and it taught me a lot on how to space the mobile goal and the rest of your subsystems within that, which helped me tremendously throughout the season, and it showed me how to do precise spacing because this needed to have no friction. This here is the second iteration of that, and it's my chain bar bot. This has been the bot I've used the most throughout the season. The reason it's been so reliable and consistent is because it's very simple. When we first ran the linear, it was good at what it could do, but it wasn't necessary at the time since it was still early season. So I decided to get rid of it and just run the chain bar. The advantage to that is since I didn't have to put my motors on anything else, I could run 3 motors onto it. And how I'm able to do that is these two are linked together with a shared shaft, so any amount of force added to either side just helps the other one. So now when I want to do stationary, I can pull this motor in the opposite direction and lock it in place and place down. That gives me an advantage. In a couple matches, I was able to get that stationary bonus, which helped in my score. This one also helped me in my mobile goal because I learned to go taller and taller and further out. So now 20 point is easy and effective to place in with 6 cones. It's been one of the most reliable things on my robot. And my drivetrain was actually powered on both wheels and wouldn't get stuck on the stationary or the starting bar anymore because it's powered by 6 motors. My controller has also gone through a couple iterations on how I use it. At the beginning of the season, I stuck with tank because it's what I've used throughout all my years, but my controls, I was a little fuzzy on how I was going to do them. Because I'm only one person, I was going to have my chain bar here to run it manually, and then my claw was only going to be 1 button. But at the time, I didn't know how to do a toggle. Like if I press once, how do I get it to run that? And then the same thing opposite. Well, I posted that question onto the Vex forums, and a couple teams were able to give me code. I believe one of the New Zealand teams, Wingus and Ningus, yes, they sent me some of the code from a past discussion, and it helped me throughout the season, and I showed other people how to do it. It was also how I ran my mobile goal at the beginning, off of this button. Though the problem with that was any last minute scoring couldn't happen because I couldn't go backwards in place at the same time. So it wasn't helpful in those regards. Because of that, I stopped using like face buttons or that just for my thumbs, and Antichamber released a design to put toggles onto your controller to help with people who drive tank. And now, if I want to do manual, I just set up the buttons here. So down, up, any system I want there, I'm able to control it because my thumbs are still moving, and it allows for quicker and easier scoring, and I'm going to use that on every bot since. This is my South Lake robot. It was the first design I had into the later season. It does look a bit gutted right now. That's because it wasn't as good as it should have been. So I used a lot of its parts to build my new one. Though, this taught me a lot of things on how to build an RD4B or how to integrate all the spacing on everything. This had been my first real try at building something like this. So I didn't know how to do triangle banding, which I then learned throughout this bot. I didn't know how to do my screw joints, which I learned from the help of another team, 60X, and experience on building this one. It also showed me how to do the arm placements for my RD4B to keep it linear. Another useful thing that this robot showed was my wheels. I placed them further into each other so that if I sat in the start bar and the 20 point, it's the same gap as in the 10 or as in the 5 as anywhere else. So now the placement is exactly the same. So the gap is no different. Now I can do 14 stack wherever I want. It's just when the match calls for it. This also showed me how to do my towers because I had a problem with them wobbling. But then I learned to stop any vertical movement and horizontal by adding a shock bar to stop it. These are a couple of photos of that bot being finished at the tournament. Now I'm going to show you my newest bot and the one that I've been working on longest now. This is the bot that I plan to take to Worlds and to the US Open tournament. This one, many of those things that I told you about from the past one have been extremely helpful in getting this one running well. Now that I know how to do screw joints, there's not a ton of friction in my RD4B, so I'm able to run high speeds on 1 to 5, which I wasn't able to achieve with this one. It also taught me to not put my motors on my RD4B. That way, they wouldn't have to lift as much weight. Instead of their weight plus everything else, now they're just lifting everything else, which makes the banding much easier because I'm able to find the position, and this keeps it at the same position no matter where. And that's without the motors running, so the rubber bands take care of weight. My mobile goal, I went back to my 2-motor setup which I had on my chain bar because I'm more experienced with it and it's easier for me to build and drive. The first versions I had of this had a lot of slack in them, but then I asked a team that I've worked with throughout the year, 60X, the single member of that team was able to help me because he has a design similar to this one. He was able to help me get rid of all the slack in the design. He also showed me a couple pointers on my RD4B, and he's helped me a lot throughout this entire season. I also kept the wheels closer into each other to allow for easier placement in 20, 10, 5. The unique thing about this robot is my claw. Because of the way I have it, it'll grab the cone in the middle and have a gap here. So now when I go up to place, it'll drop, and I have enough space that I can just go straight down entirely with both systems, so that I save about half a second or 3/4 of a second. It's supposed to mimic a passive system because those are extremely efficient at going to the next cone, but I wasn't at a skill level where I can build one of those, so this was the closest thing I could get to mimicking that. This robot is the one I do plan to take the Worlds and US Open, but I haven't had as much time to finish this one as I had the other ones because I joined an FRC team, so a lot of my time's been helping them and a couple other teams. So this is the one, if it's done by the tournament, you'll be glad to see it. I'm hoping it's there within the next couple of weeks, that I'll have it done in time. But the chain bar, since it's been extremely reliable and consistent throughout the entire year, the Autons work, it'll be working, though it's not as fast in the scoring, so it's my backup. I'm hoping not to take this one, but if I do, it will work for what it needs to, but I don't want to take this one since that one's better for late season. Though, I want to show you the skills of this robot onto the field so that you have a demonstration of one of them running at the least. Thank you for your time on watching this video. I hope it's been helpful to you and you've liked it. Thank you.